So I know that we work together on the South Carolina Food Policy Committee, but how did you really get involved with Eat Smart, Move More?
Well, it's, I think, multifaceted. Along with being involved in the State Food Policy Council, I've spent the past number of years working in nonprofit work in education, mostly around building and establishing a robust food system, starting with sustainable agriculture. So I found myself interacting with Eat Smart, Move More through a lot of that work moving up until now.
What the pandemic has really brought to the forefront.
The greatest challenges that we are presented with during this pandemic are actually solved through the localized food system and with local agriculture. And just from a vertical roots perspective, that's food safety for one. We're Harmonized GAP Plus certified and Primus certified, and so you can count on that produce being safe. You can count on that produce being fresh, not having many food miles behind it, meaning that it doesn't travel from a number of different locations to reach the point of consumption. With local and smaller farmers, you can find ways to access that product that eliminate some of the things that we're trying to avoid right now. Large gatherings, direct contact with people. There are means to purchase from local farmers that get around that, and I think that's really important and valuable.
Talk to me a little bit about what it means to be, I guess, more directly accessible to these emergency food providers.
Having something like this change your markets entirely, or having your markets change entirely as a result of something like this, can really be very challenging. We're seeing farms suffering in a number of different ways right now. Identifying another outlet for your product during these times where, if it's not your premium price that you're able to get on something, but if there's an organization that's able to, do good in the community and purchase product from you at a fair price, that is really valuable, and it can be so valuable in some instances that it can really be what sustains a business through something like this for a small farmer. Agriculture has and always will be a community-based industry. Everyone from the 4,000 acre commodity farm to the 1 acre market farm relies on a network of people, and during these times we see that network be extended to these emergency food relief organizations. And as much as we are able to help them, they are able to help us, and it grows that farm family, for lack of a better term.
I know you're based out in Charleston, but bringing it up to folks in Columbia and to Orangeburg with growing cod, and I think you even go up to Charlotte, right? Am I right?
We do, yeah. That's correct. And so through this recent incident with the pandemic and all, we've made a commitment to be donating at least 400 cases of lettuce, and sometimes above and beyond that, through a variety of different channels. And that has allowed us to connect with a number of different emergency food relief organizations that we haven't known in the past, that maybe haven't even existed prior to this, and then also further the programs and partnerships that we have with people that we've been working with all along. I think that it's been really helpful. It's allowed us to get product to people that and to agencies that aren't getting fresh produce or have a difficult time getting fresh produce during these times. I've talked to 3 or 4 different folks who have outwardly said to me that they've been having a hard time getting fresh produce integrated into their programming. And when I say programming, I mean, emergency food relief programs. Mm-hmm. And that being able to do that is really positive for them. They recognize the value of that, but then also they'll come back to me and say that when they deliver the product, how excited the people are and happy the people are that are receiving that. that service are to receive fresh produce. And so I think that there are so many benefits in so many points along the way to being able to do that.
How do you see yourself, the organizations and councils that you serve on, preparing differently for a future crisis?
Make changes that have some longevity or a more distant scope in mind, and having that are sustainable and that can live on after this, I think is really crucial. And just weaving that into the conversations as we're helping to solve problems, not just solving the problems right now, but solving a problem and doing it in such a way that can live on for quite some time after this. And I think one of the great examples of that is just this conversation that started between some of the members of the Food Policy Council and Eat Smart Move More, which is to find ways to link, these public health related organizations with local farmers that can benefit from increased diversity in their markets and their outlets. But we really appreciate all the organizations out there that are working in this sphere, making the choice to work with local farmers. It's something that I hear so often, is helping in more ways than we can imagine. So.
Well, that's great. And at Eat Smart Move More, we recognize that and appreciate our partners like you and the others on the South Carolina Food Policy Council.